See if they can hear us.
That's right. We'll blow right through it.
Why didn't it share right?
Yeah, it's just right there. I get it.
Do you see the box?
Yeah,
All right.
I just clicked on it. You're good.
Yeah, we're good to go. Give us a thumbs up if you guys can hear me. But this is take 3. Let's see. We got Slick Willis in the house. We got the Jags. We're gonna try this again. Great. All right. So we're good to go. So great season. Um, great first season for us here. We had a lot of stories from last season. We had the Eagles MVP run with Miles Sanders. We had the Jags Cinderella run all the way to the playoffs, making it all the way to the AFC Championship game.
Jags rolling.
Yeah, we had the Texans battling it out without Watson for pretty much most of the season, and still making it to the Super Bowl. And the most important part was the Bucks winning the championship with the dual quarterback situation. So those were a couple of the storylines that I had. We'll kick it off with the Miles Sanders. What are your guys' thoughts on how the Eagles MVP run with Miles Sanders was?
It was really good, and he only got better. He's now has human joystick to go along with jukebox and X Factor, so expect bigger numbers from him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think sophomore season is going to be even better. Probably 2,500 yards if he doesn't get hurt.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, and the next thing I had here. So with the Bucks, what do they do now? I know. Penn put the X Factor on Tommy Stevens, and I saw Tom Brady on the trading block. So I'm curious to see what he does this season. See if he can repeat as champion.
I think he's definitely the top team. Number one, I would say, and even with Tommy Stevens back there, might have some closer games at times. But I think smart player knows how to use each player to their strength. So I think it'll be tough to stop that.
Yeah, you might just see more of Stevens than you do of Brady, but you may see the same what you saw this past season, just more playing time for Stevens. Um, but he was able to win in year one, and he hasn't even like fully developed his team yet. So, I mean, and Penn, he can develop his guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next point here, the Cinderella run, and we got the Jags here. So he'll be able to talk a little bit about his season. But was that a miracle run? Once in a one-hit wonder. I'm curious to see how he does going forward. Rumor has it, the Colts are interested in Trevor Lawrence with the number 1 pick, so that division just gets a little bit tougher. So does he repeat? Does he continue with this run with his team developing a little bit, or does it kind of fade away?
I'll let Slick take this one first.
I mean, they guys will know how you play now, so they'll know kind of what to expect. I mean, the harder thing is to stay consistent, but I mean, as long as he keeps running the ball, he's always going to be in games. He's always going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So if you were to ask me, as a maybe a little bit of a bias, with the Jags here, I would say that Minshew was a 69 overall when the season started. Kind of had a rough few games to start the season. Lost to the Chiefs somehow, who didn't show up. But throughout the season, Minshew got a little bit better. Improved a little bit. His 86 throwing power is real strong. But I think the defense was pretty solid in some of those games. Turnovers were big, so just got to limit the picks this year. I think the Jags are going back, but we can talk about that when we get to divisions.
Yeah. So why don't we just move on to that? We're going to talk a little bit about the division winners, our predictions for this following upcoming season, who we think are going to be the division winners. We're also going to pick a team from each conference, AFC and NFC, who made the playoffs, who we do not think is going to make it. And we're also going to pick a team who did not make the playoffs, who are now going to make it this upcoming season. So I'll start off. I mean, we'll we'll go here one by one. We'll start off with the AFC North. Okay, we had the Bengals who made the playoffs. The Browns, the Ravens, and the Steelers did not make the playoffs. I'm going to go ahead and just say, by the dominance that the Bengals had over his division teams, I'm going to say he repeats as the winner here of this division.
We're talking about the AFC North here?
Correct.
Sorry,
Yeah, AFC North.
All right, so I'll give you what I got here. We're just talking about division winners right now?
Yes.
All right, I would say the Bengals. I'd say the Bengals repeat. They get a high scoring offense. They do pretty well. Falters against the Jags, but other than that, I think he does pretty well. The Browns are too conservative. Sai is a good player. He's going to be in a lot of games. His point differential was close last season, but I don't think he can. I don't think he can get past the Bengals the way he plays. Coach, he just disappears. He gets angry. I don't know what happened to him. But I think it'll be, the Ravens and Steelers will be close for the seller of the AFC North.
What's your take, Slate, on AFC North? Who takes it?
I just need to see more out of Sai before I give him that crown. So you gotta give it to Bengals. It's his division. It's really just them two. I don't really see Ravens or Steelers.
All right. So looks like it's unanimous. All three of us picking the Bengals. We're gonna move on to the AFC South. Manny dominated with the passing game. I don't see either of the three teams putting a halt to that. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Texans here to take the AFC South again.
It's really just a battle for second place in this division. Who's just going to win enough to get in second place? It's going to be Manny's division.
Yeah, I'm with you, both of you guys on that. He's going to be the tough one in that division. It's pretty much impossible to beat him. You just have to hope he loses to someone else, and then Jags, Titans, or Colts go pretty much win every other game. But even then, I just don't see that happening. But this division is interesting because I think I think the Jags are gonna be fighting for that wild card spot, and I think the Titans are right there, good user. Dropped a couple games to the Texans at the end of the season. But as we get used to our teams, I think that's going to be close. And then Mikey, rumor has it, maybe Trevor Lawrence with the number 1 pick might be going there. He's still got to stop throwing those picks, but we'll see how he does.
All right, so moving on to the AFC East. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, guys, because we got about 20 minutes for the draft, and after the division winners, we're going to go quickly through the preseason power rankings. So the AFC East, now this is interesting. You got Bills winning it at 13-3, but then you had the Jets and the Pats fighting out all the way till the end. And I know Jabbar had a few losses early that he honestly shouldn't have. So this is going to be I think this is going to be one of the most interesting divisions for this next upcoming season. What are your guys' take on who takes this division?
I'm gonna say Bills. I still think it's the Bills division here. I think just based on turnovers last year, very good turnover differential, better than I think any team in the league. So I think that alone. However, I did look at the schedule for last year for the AFC East, and it was not the toughest schedule. They played each other and they battled it out in that division, but none of them played a ton of tough games. So we'll just have to see how they match up this year.
I think Bills, he takes the division, but I think Jabbar, since he won't be tanking that early, and he's got a superstar ability on his QB, so he can be in some game now. He'll give Bills a run for his money, but he'll definitely be in second place in that division.
Yeah, so I'm also going to go with the Bills to win the division. We'll talk a little bit about Jabbar when it comes to teams who didn't make the playoffs, giving it away a little bit on my pick. But yeah, so I have the Bills as well. Looks like so far AFC North, it was unanimous. Bengals taking it again. AFC South, Texans. AFC East, we got the Bills. So moving on to the AFC West, or the AFC Lest. This was pretty wild division. we got Dar almost came back, and we had the Raiders who played, I believe it was the Broncos, and it was about 2 or 3 games left in the season where if he would have won, he would have taken the lead. So this is going to be pretty close. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go on a limb here and say I know the Chiefs is a decent user. He's got a pretty stacked roster, and I know he had a ton of internet problems, so he barely played. I'm gonna go on a hot take here and say the Chiefs are gonna win this division.
Woo. That is a pretty hot take.
Hot take on the user, not the team. I gotta. Yeah, the only reason it's 3-13 because he didn't play a lot of his games. But until I see that he's playing his games more consistently, I'm not gonna give him that. I'm actually gonna give it to Dar and the Chargers. Just because, just the X factor he got in his QB, that's gonna be big for him. And that team's already good. But that's just my pick with who's gonna win it.
Yeah, I actually second that. I think, I mean, if you look, they're all pretty close, but Dar played in some tough games, and he had his point differential was pretty good. He doesn't let up a ton of points. He's got a pretty solid defense. He also has 3 first-round draft picks, so and still a solid team. So I think that I think Dar is going to take this one, but I feel like it's going to be close. The Raiders played pretty tough in some games. That's a close division.
All right. So moving on to the NFC North, we had the Packers just going away with this one. Just 15-1, pretty impressive. I remember doing the contender-pretender segment of last season. He was my contender, beating Eagles, who I had picked to go to the Super Bowl. He beat the Eagles early. I don't see anything changing this year. He just dominated. Look, 491 points. I mean, he just put up points. I'm going with the Packers here.
Yeah, I second that. I think the Packers definitely take this one. Yeah, I mean he's solid, and he lost a close game and kind of I think it was a bad pick against the Eagles in the playoffs, and he could have been at the championship. So I think he pushes into the playoffs pretty hard. The real question is will KK crack under the pressure again? I mean, is he just going to falter again and lose to someone like the Lions when the season's on the line? I mean, just terrible.
That was brutal.
Yeah, Packers all the way. That's his division. It'll be interesting to see what he does at the QB position, because Aaron Rodgers is getting older, and he's regressing, so he's gonna lose some abilities. But he also has Jordan Love behind, so is he gonna go into the season with A-Rod, or is he gonna try and develop Jordan Love? Is gonna be the big thing for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, NFC South. That's the champs division. We got the Bucks, the Falcons. We got the Saints and Panthers combining for 5 wins. So maybe they can rebuild on the draft and maybe take a couple wins. Who knows? But I have the Bucks taking it. I mean, he only lost 1 game, and I heard he wasn't trying that hard on that 1 game. But who knows?
Whoa! Listen, for the record, going into that game, just so you know, Brady had only thrown 7 picks, and I had 4 that game. All right, so get out of here.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive. So, but I got the Bucks repeating. I don't see as good of a user that Johnny is. I don't see him taking the division. I still see him making the playoffs, but I don't see him taking this one.
Yeah, I second that. I would say, that's my dog freaking out. Sorry. Yeah, I would say the Bucks definitely. Penn's just unbelievable. Still not sure how he lost to the Jags, to be honest. But the Falcons, I think, are I think Johnny's gonna at least be not close to the Bucks necessarily, but he's getting a wild card. I think he's a good user. The Saints and Panthers, man, I don't know what's going on there. It's I mean, the Panthers I understand, but the Saints, I mean, you got Michael Thomas, and it's confusing.
Yeah, it's gonna be Penn's division. One thing to keep an eye on with the Falcons, and I do agree they're gonna be in the wild card. But they did just release Matt Ryan, and they traded for Marcus Mariota. So he'll be a little bit more athletic at the QB position. Some rollouts and stuff like that. So that's a story to keep an eye on with the Falcons. in that loaded wide receiving core they have there.
Yep, so unanimous with the Bucks as well. So NFC East, we got that's Jern's division. He won 14-2 record. That one as well. You have a new user in the Giants that no one knows. I think he only played one game, but that's a new user. And then I don't see anything changing on this one. I see him winning it pretty handily.
Yeah, it's his. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about that. I had the same thing here. Giants are under new ownership, so we're going to have to see how that plays out. I mean, the Redskins let up an absurd amount of points. So, hopefully they're investing in defense in the draft. The Cowboys actually, if you look, Miss Brown over there did pretty well. The point differential was not that different. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Moving
on, NFC West, we got Slick's division. Now, this is going to be interesting because the Rams pulled off 5-win streak. Now, I don't know if you guys remember when he joined, but he came in mid-season or almost late in the season, pulled off 5 wins. He almost knocked out Jern in the playoffs, so he played really, really tough. So, Slick, you got some competition coming into your division. I'm still going to pick the Seahawks to win this division. I know how good of a user Slick is. Typically you play him twice. The first time you play him, you may have a little bit more success. That second time he sees you, he makes some adjustments. So I'm still going to pick Seahawks here for the NFC West.
Yep, I'm with you on that. But I agree. I actually have down here that I think the Rams will be fighting for a wild card with Johnny again. And the Rams pretty solid coming in, like you said, midway through, and ripping off those, and played tough in the playoffs in the wild card round. So, but I will say, as long as Russell Wilson comes back healthy, I think the Seahawks are still in the lead.
All right. So real quick, with about 11 minutes before the draft, I'm going to make it real quick. 2 teams from the AFC and NFC who's going to make it, who didn't make it last year, and vice versa. And then we'll jump into the power rankings. My 2 teams, I'll go quick. AFC, I hate to do it to you, buddy, but I got to pick the Jags. And the reason why I think the division gets a little bit stronger, okay? And you got users like Jabbar, who I think is going to be a little bit better. And I think some other users on there are just the competition in the AFC. I think is going to be a little bit tougher. The success of the first season in this league, I think people are a little bit hyped up and ready to go. So I think the Jags are not going to make it. And if I had to pick a team from the NFC, because the NFC is just stacked, I think he's going to make it. I think the Rams is going to make it, but I just don't see Packers not making it, Eagles not making it, Bucks not making it, Falcons not making it. If I had to pick a team, it's going to be the Rams. And then the 2 teams that I picked that will make the playoffs, I got the Patriots in the AFC. I feel like Jabbar is going to show up this year, and I'm going to pick him just to put a little bit of pressure on him, but I picked KK to make it in the NFC. So I'll kick it off to you, Jags. What are your thoughts, and who are your teams?
All right. Well, I think the playoffs are going to look pretty similar as they did last year. Personally, especially the Jags, they're certainly going to beat the snot out of the Colts now. That's for sure. But I see the Broncos not making it. I feel like that's a pretty easy one because that division was so tight. I just see the Texans, Bills, and Bengals all taking care of business. I think the Titans are a real good user. I think it's between the Titans and Pats for that number 6 spot, but I think the Chargers will actually be the one to look out for in the AFC West, so they'll make it this year. And then the NFC, I actually put a surprise pick for the 49ers. I actually think the 49ers are going to somehow step it up this year. Their points were pretty close. They played some close games, I think. I just feel like they're gonna make it this year.
Mine is about the same. I think Jags take a step back, but it'll be interesting to see now that everyone's seen some tape on how he plays, how they play him, and if he can keep up that consistency. I have Jabbar making it. And that last wild card spot is going to be between Jags and Titans. Titans, really. And Jabbar, those three are going to be who I'm going to keep my eye on. NFC, the top 4 teams are probably going to be the division winners, more likely the same. I see Johnny in it, and then I just think it's going to be a battle between Rams and Bears. But I think KK steps it up and then gets in.
Cool. All right, so 8 minutes before the draft, I'm going to go really quick to the preseason power rankings. Now, these we're going to be doing pretty much every podcast. We're going to be adjusting this. I'm not going to do any honorable mentions. I'm going to start straight up. Number 10, I got the Titans. Played the Texas great, made the playoffs, had a good run on the toughest division, arguably. I got Danny and the Titans at number 10.
You're just gonna run right through them?
Yeah, I'm gonna run.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so number 9, I put the Bengals. Won his division, beat his teams pretty easily. So I got him in at number 9. Jumping off to number 8, I got the Bills. He had a great regular season. He came off strong, but then he lost to the Jags, which I thought was pretty surprising. So I have the Bills at number 8. Number 7, I put the Jags. He had a great run, beat some tough opponents. He beat Penn in the regular season, so I got him in at number 7. At number 6, I put the Rams, 5-win streak, almost beat Jern in the playoffs, so I got the Rams in at number 6. And then rounding into the top 5, at number 5, I got the Seahawks, very good user. Made the playoffs in a tough NFC conference. So I got Slick at number 5. Number 4, I got the Packers. He beat the Eagles early on, had a great dominating run. He had a very good game against the Eagles again in the playoffs, but he ended up coming short. So I got the Packers at 4. And then at number 3, I got the Eagles. He was a missed field goal before the half against Penn from potentially winning that game. If it wasn't for that missed field goal, he would have most likely beat Penn. And that game ended up going to overtime. So I got the Eagles at 3. Number 2 and number 1, obviously it's not a shocker. 2, we got the Texans, dominated pretty much half the season without Watson. And then at number 1, I got Penn, obviously the champion. So those are my top 10. I'll post it on the chat. We got number 10 Titans, number 9 Bengals, number 8 Bills, 7 we got the Jags, 6 we got Rams, 5 we got Seahawks, 4 Packers, 3 Eagles, 2 Texans, and number 1 we got the Bucks. So as the season goes on, these will be adjusting. So obviously kicking off this new season, let's get some of these guys off of this top 10 by beating them off of it. And if you want to move up, obviously put some win streaks together. So what are your guys' thoughts on the preseason power rankings?
Do I get to do my own here, or do I have to agree with you or disagree with that?
Yeah,
What's going on here?
I mean, you can do your own. That's who I have as the top 10. If you want to go quickly through yours, that's fine. We got about 5 minutes, fellas.
I'll let Slick go first.
No, I agree. Everyone is where they should be at.
Well, you know what? I disagree. All right, so let's go through.
I kind of figured
No,
that.
listen. All right, we're gonna go through. We'll go through real quick. So actually, the top few I got is pretty similar. I got Titans at 10, Bengals at 9, Bills at 8. But number 7, I got Falcons. I think Johnny's probably always a top 10 team. His defense is ridiculous. Number 6, I got Seahawks. Slick knows how to play. Russ coming back with a vengeance next year. But you know what? Number 5, I got Jags. Because I feel like not only did they beat the 13-3 Bills last season, but they also took down Penn. They took down Johnny. They had a rough time against the Texans in the playoffs, but during the regular season, they were only down by 4 points in the fourth quarter. So, maybe if they can put it together, get some Madden luck, maybe they'll get a game against the Texans this year. Hopefully it's the playoff game. Number 4, I got the Packers, solid, and I think these are all the same. Number 3, Eagles. Number 2, Texans. And number 1, Bucks, just because they gotta be where they're at based on the end of the season there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good list. I mean, I only slighted you by 2 spots. I don't know why you're so offended.
Well, I'm a little offended because you told me I wasn't even going to make a wild card, and then you're going to sit there and pretend like you want to put me at number 7. Come on now.
Yeah, you're right. You had a good run. That's I can't. I'm not going to argue too much with your list. But let's see if we can get some of these guys knocked out. We got the draft coming up here. So let's keep it going for season 2, and then we'll see you guys next podcast with KK and Penn back on here. All right, thanks guys.
All right.
Peace out, Jags rolling.